Deep in the Amazon, a wildlife researcher made a decision that would haunt him forever. When he found a 17-foot anaconda trapped in fishing nets, bleeding and dying, he did the unthinkable. He freed her. But what happened next defied everything science told us about these apex predators. 3 years later, that same snake would return, not for revenge, but for something far more mysterious. What this anaconda revealed about the hidden emotional world of reptiles would shock the scientific community and force us to question everything we thought we knew about cold-blooded creatures. Before we dive into Paolo's incredible journey with Esperanza, I need to know something. Where are you watching this from? Are you in the Amazon? The U.S.? Europe? Australia? Drop your location in the comments right now. I'm mapping where Esperanza's story is reaching around the globe, and I want to see if her message is truly going worldwide. For generations, the anaconda has been cast as nature's perfect villain. Hollywood painted them as man-eaters, lurking monsters of the deep jungle. The statistics alone seem to justify the fear. These serpents can grow beyond 30 feet, weigh over 500 pounds, and possess jaws that unhinge to swallow prey whole. They are apex predators, silent and efficient. But what if everything we've been told is wrong? Paolo had spent 15 years in the Amazon, not studying snakes, but river dolphins. He was a wildlife researcher who prided himself on objectivity, someone deeply skeptical of anthropomorphizing animals. He believed what the textbook said. Reptiles are primitive, instinct-driven, incapable of emotion. They operate on autopilot, nothing more. Then came 2016, on a remote tributary far from any research station. Paolo discovered a massive female anaconda tangled in illegal fishing nets. The nets were cutting deep into her body, infection already setting in. Every instinct screamed danger. These snakes can crush a caiman. But something in that moment made Paolo act. 3 months passed before Paolo returned to that remote tributary. He wasn't looking for her, wasn't even thinking about that rescue. But there she was. Esperanza had returned to the exact same location. What struck him immediately was her reaction, or rather, her lack of one. She didn't flee when he approached. She simply watched him, calm and present. When Paolo shared this observation with colleagues, their response was immediate and dismissive. Coincidence, they said. Territorial behavior. Nothing more. But doubt had already begun creeping into Paolo's mind. He'd released her 3 miles downstream. Why here? Why now? Over the next 18 months, Paolo documented 23 encounters with Esperanza, each one deepened the mystery. She approached Paolo specifically, ignoring other researchers entirely. She allowed him within 2 to 3 feet, a proximity that should have triggered aggression or retreat. She surfaced whenever his boat arrived, as if she recognized the sound of his engine. Then came the moment that shattered every assumption. She brought her newborn snakes to the research area. This behavior existed nowhere in scientific literature. And perhaps most remarkably, other local anacondas began copying her behavior, approaching Paolo with the same curious calmness. Paolo knew he had to document this. He submitted his findings to 3 major journals. All 3 rejected him outright. The accusations came swiftly: fabrication, anthropomorphizing, Disney-fying nature. His funding was threatened. A senior researcher pulled him aside and said bluntly, "You're destroying your credibility over a snake." The doubt that had been whispering grew louder. Maybe they were right. Maybe he was seeing what he wanted to see, projecting human emotions onto a reptile incapable of reciprocating. Then came 2 o'clock on a rain-soaked morning, when everything changed. Paolo heard movement in the water outside his research station, something massive pushing through the current. When Paolo shined his light into the darkness, his heart stopped. Esperanza had returned, bleeding from a fresh poacher's trap, wound across her midsection. She had swum directly to his station, to him. In that moment, Paolo made his choice. He would help her, career be damned. What followed was a 6-hour vigil that would change everything. Paolo treated her wounds with no sedation, yet Esperanza remained completely calm. An apex predator, capable of crushing bones, lay still under his hands. It was unprecedented cooperation. While treating her, Paolo collected tissue samples, knowing this might be his only chance to prove what he'd witnessed. The results were groundbreaking. Esperanza's oxytocin levels, the bonding hormone, were significantly elevated. Brain scans revealed activity in regions associated with memory and recognition. The scientific revelation was undeniable. Reptiles do have a capacity for attachment. By 2023, Paolo's documentation was finally accepted. 3 major journals that had once rejected him now published his findings. The ripple effect was immediate and profound. When locals began seeing anacondas as intelligent, capable creatures, hunting decreased dramatically. Esperanza became an ambassador for her entire species, and protected status expanded throughout her habitat.